May it be your will, God, my God, and the God of my ancestors, that you guide my eyes with the light of your Torah, and save me from stumbling and making mistakes. For God gives wisdom, and from God's mouth comes knowledge and understanding.
Amen.
Amen.
Rabbi, you can start.
Children of Israel left Egypt, God led them by a circuitous route to avoid them experiencing war with the Philistines, whose lands were along the Mediterranean coast, the shorter route. They carried the bones of Joseph with them and were led by God in a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. When Pharaoh was informed that the Bnei Israel had fled, he pursues them into the desert with his mighty army, which included chariots. Second Aliyah, the Egyptians caught up to the Bnei Israel as they were camped by the edge of the Sea of Reeds. When the Bnei Israel saw the army of Egypt approaching, they were filled with terror and they cried out to God, Hashem. Moshe reassured them that they only had to trust Hashem and stand silently as he would battle with Egypt. Moshe was told by Hashem to stretch out his staff over the sea. Hashem separated the Bnei Israel from the Egyptians with a pillar of cloud and caused an east wind to blow the entire night, parting the sea. As the waters parted, the Bnei Israel crossed to the other side on dry land. Then the cloud moved and the Egyptians chased after them into the parted waters of the sea. Fourth Aliyah. Moshe stretched his arm back over the sea, and the waters returned to their natural state, drowning the might and glory of Egypt, its army. The Bnei Israel witnessed God's awesome miracle, and they believed in Hashem and his servant Moshe. Moshe and then Miriam sang. That should be a sang, not a sang. It's a mistake. Sang with Bnei Israel, men and women respectively, a song of exaltation and thanksgiving. After 3 days, they reached a place where there is a stream of bitter waters, and Hashem informs Moshe about a piece of wood that would make the water sweet. Hence, the place is called Marah, where Hashem gave them instructions about his laws. Fifth Aliyah, the Bnei Israel struggled with the realities of the desert. Their concerns for bread and water were overwhelming, and Hashem gave them man. We call it manna in English. They craved for meat, and Hashem sent them quail. They were given strict instructions regarding the gathering and eating of the man. The Bnei Israel were given man for 6 days of the week and instructed to observe the Shabbat. An urn of manna, was saved for posterity. Seventh Aliyah. The nation traveled to Rephidim and quarreled with Moshe over the lack of water. Moshe saw this as an unnecessary test of God, of Hashem. Hashem instructed Moshe to hit the rock with his staff and bring forth water, which he does. Amalek then attacks them at Rephidim. Yehoshua captains the attack against Amalek, while Moshe, Aharon, and Hur stood atop the hill. Moshe, Aharon, and Hur stood atop the hill facing the battlefield with Moshe's arm stretched heavenward. Hashem asked Moshe to inscribe in a document that he will blot out the memory of Amalek. So this is our summary of the Aliyah, Parashat of all the 7 Aliyot of Parashat Beshalach. What I would like to really focus on, although the main event in the parasha is the parting of the sea and Am Israel walking through on dry ground, and then the Egyptian army being decimated in the waters and in the mud, and their chariots being flung in the seas that come crashing on it, right? So that is the main event. and probably we'll come to that event. But just before the event and after the event, a lot of other things are happening which are something of an enigma. And I'll tell you why I think that it is an enigma, why it is a very, very mysterious of what is happening over there. So let us, without further ado, go into this Parashat. Parashat Beshalach. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I'm going to go to the main section where I want to focus, right? So just in the beginning, let's take it from here. Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp before Pi Hahiroth. So it is Hashem's plan. Go to this place, Pi Hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, before Baal Zephon. You shall encamp facing it by the sea. So now they are along the sea. On one side, there is a huge sea. Now the Israelites are thinking that they are going to go past the sea, like walk towards the sea, around the sea, which may take another month or so, right? Because this is not really a sea. It is called a sea of reeds, and it is a body of water, which is a huge body of water, but it is a sort of a land. It has land around it, which means that it is a lake, a big lake, sort of. It may have a stream that may go into the Red Sea, but this is what it is. So it is not exactly a sea. So they are not expecting the Pharaoh's army, and they are planning now to walk around. Suddenly, what happens? Pharaoh will say of the Israelites, they are astray in the land, the wilderness. This is Hashem speaking to Moshe, in fact. Pharaoh will say to the Israel, go over there, and then Pharaoh will say to the Israelites, they are astray in the land, the wilderness has closed in on them. And that is going to basically initiate Pharaoh's response, because now Pharaoh will think that they are sitting ducks, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is luring Pharaoh to come over here. Then I will stiffen Pharaoh's heart and he will pursue them. So now this is my plan. This is what Hashem is telling Moshe. Then I will stiffen Pharaoh's heart, because why? What is going to cause the stiffening of the Pharaoh's heart is one question. He will pursue them, like according to what we have discussed. There is no such thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu controls Pharaoh's mind. He can, but he never does. He just plays it out in such a way that Pharaoh will respond the way he will, because he is an egomaniac. He is a king who believes that nothing can destroy him. He has this responses or whatever because of his ego, right? So Hashem is just playing him into acting the way he wants it, and that's what we see. Then I will stiffen Pharaoh's heart and he will pursue them, that I am again. So I want you all to think about what is it, and answer me in a minute. What could it be that is going to stiffen Pharaoh's heart over here? What is that lure that Moshe and Hashem has used to lure Pharaoh? One is that they are sitting ducks in opposite a sea or a huge lake, that they cannot run away from it. What is the other thing that is going to move Pharaoh to come over here? Then I may gain glory through Pharaoh and all his host, glory in the eyes of the Jewish people. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And Moshe Rabbeinu and Am Israel did so. That is what it means. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his courtiers had a change of heart about the people and said, what is this that we have done, releasing Israel from our service? This is about, how many people are we talking about? 600,000 males. That is a very, above the age of 20. 600,000 males, as many females, and as many older and as many younger. So you can just understand. Let's take 6 into 4, 2,40,000. That is somewhere around. This is the number. Plus, it says that then there were the Arab Rav, there were the others who came out, other slaves, other people who were downtrodden in Egypt, other people who were not from Egypt, who were forced into slavery over there. They also came out. We don't know how huge this number is, but at least it is about 3 million, 2.4 to 3 million. He ordered his chariot and took his men with him. So that is a humongous workforce that Egypt is going to lose. Egypt is looking at its financial loss. He's saying, what have we done? We have just, that is how work was done. You had a workforce of 3 million men, 3 million people over here, and it is just lost. He ordered his chariot and took his men with him, took 600 of his picked chariots, the rest of the chariots of Egypt, with officers in all of them. So you have the military officers. So Egypt's cream is now out over here. The Lord stiffened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he gave chase to the Israelites as the Israelites were departing defiantly. And Egyptians gave chase to them, and all the chariots, horses of Pharaoh, his horsemen and his warriors, overtook them, encamped by the sea near Pi-hahiroth for Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh drew near, the Israelites caught sight of the Egyptians advancing upon them. Greatly frightened, the Israelites cried out to the Lord. That is the natural thing. You have no other way out. What can you do in a situation like this but pray, right? So they pray. And what is it that happens? And they said to Moses, was it for the want of graves in Egypt that you brought us to die in this wilderness? What have you done to us, taking us out of Egypt? This is not the very thing we told you in Egypt, saying, let us be, and we will serve the Egyptians, for it is better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. And Moses said to the people, have no fear. Stand by and witness the deliverance which the Lord will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you will never see again. So this is really confusing. Confusing on one hand, you have these Jews have seen 10 plagues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has brought on Egypt. So why are they now not trusting God? That is the one question that you need to ask over here. These people firsthand saw what God did for them in Egypt, how God killed the firstborn, did all the other 9 plagues, all very miraculous. So why won't he do it here? But let's say that it's in the worst case scenario, we have the army standing in front of us, the might of Egypt, the whole power of that superpower that was Egypt, all in there in front of them. What do they know? How will they fight this army, this military, right? So we understand how can last minute what miracle will God do? Doesn't make practical sense. They are asking Moshe. But what does Moshe tell them? Have no fear. Stand by and witness. Don't get frightened. Stand by and witness the deliverance which the Lord will work for you. Okay. And then we'll go a little further. The Lord will battle for you. You hold your peace. Then the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry out to me? Tell the Israelites to go forward. Hashem himself is questioning this mode of response of the Am Israel. What are you doing? Behind you is the army of Egypt. Go ahead. You have water, so start swimming. That is what it means. You have to help yourself. That is what God is saying. Go ahead. What are you still standing and crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to go forward. Very, very uh, I mean, from a point of view of the Israelites, what confusion they are in. Moshe is saying, don't do anything. Just wait and see what Hashem will do. Hashem tells Moshe, Moshe, why are they crying out to me? Go ahead, as if they have the capacity to walk on water or something like that. Well, go ahead. This is a sea in front of us. We have our families, our kids, our older parents. How are they supposed to respond to that? They have their belongings, everything, right? And then the famous, and you lift up your rod and hold it out over the sea and split it so that the Israelites may march into sea on dry ground. So we know the story. I am not going to read the whole thing. What happens over here is the sea splits, the pillar of cloud which is directing them in front of them moves behind them, and for the Egyptians it becomes a dark cloud, so they are in darkness and engulfed in some kind of a what is the word, some kind of a spell, and they don't know what to do now. They are all confused because they cannot move ahead because of this cloud. Not only that, there is a cloud that covers their vision, there is a cloud that doesn't allow them to basically move. They could not take their horses inside the cloud. That is what it was. And so they were all stuck. And then the seas parted, Israel walked through, and when the Egyptians, the cloud moved. Once they are walked through, the cloud moves. Now they are in pursuit of Israel, and suddenly the waters come crashing on them. Now, when they walked, Israel walked on dry ground. But first, what happened was the ground becomes wet, and it becomes muddy, and it becomes like it starts sinking under their feet. So their wheels of their chariots get all stuck in the mud, and then the waters come crashing on them. So that is what happens. Then we have the famous Shirat Hayam, Az Yashir Moshe. Before that, there is these sentences. Yosha Adonai Bayom Hahu. Thus the Lord delivered Israel that day. Et Israel Miyad Mitzrayim, from the Egyptians. Yar Israel et Mitzrayim met al Sefat Hayam. Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore of the sea. Vayar Israel et Hayad Hagedolah. And when Israel saw the wondrous power which the Lord has wielded against the Egyptians, the people who are afraid of God, they feared the Lord, et Adonai, vayaminu ba Adonai, and they had faith in the Lord and his servant Moses. Vayaminu ba Adonai wa Moshe avdo. Okay, so my question to you all: what lured Pharaoh? Who would like to tell me? The fact that they were stuck over there is one, but what was the other thing that hardened his heart, that brought him out of his comfort zone into the desert to bring these people back to Egypt, even after the 10th plague?
I think he lost all his slaves.
He did. You are right, but he lost all his slaves, but he still has power. He has his own people. He has a whole strong economy still, right? He can stand up on his feet. Maybe it will take another few years. Why come back? After the 10 plagues, and he knows the power of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, what lures him, what hardened his heart that he came back after them?
I think it was his ego mostly, because Egypt was the most powerful of all the the empires over there. So it become like a ego issue with the Hittites and all.
No, not because of the Hittites, but the ego issue. Ego about what? What had happened that his ego will get hurt? What had happened?
First of all, is the firstborn got killed, na?
No, but that doesn't hurt his ego. It hurt his uh, emotions and stuff like that. But ego, when we speak about the ego, that is, I am important, and that what is that uh, responding to?
I think first of all, the Pharaoh himself, himself is a god. He has to call himself a god. So our Jewish God defeated him. That is what bothered him.
Well, he had already accepted that the Jewish God, he has no competition. That he knows, and he even when he asked them to leave, he said that get a blessing for me also. So there, after the 10 plagues, he is very clear that the Jewish God and he is not in the same league. He understands that. Even he portrays himself as God. He, in the heart of his heart, he knows that he is not a God, right? He knows he is human. So he knows this is something divine, and that is not the issue. Yes, somebody else would like to try?
Yes. ऐकायचं आहे?
Bola.
पराशाच्या आदल्या पराशामध्ये, the Parashat Lifnei Zeh, he said to Moses, you will not see my face. तिकडे जो शब्द त्यांनी वापरला तेव्हा मोशे त्याला काय बोलते? You are right. Moshe says, you are right, you will not see my face. And now it is a time to come to show him, here, you will die and you will not see my face. काय हा तो प्रूव्ह करायला मागते परमेश्वर त्याला फारोला काय now you will never see the Moses face because you are told, that is his words, Pharaoh's words, that you will not see my face.
Right. So the question is, was Pharaoh part of the army who was coming into the waters or not?
No. God is doing everything. God proves
does Pharaoh follow into the water, or does Pharaoh only send the army?
No. Pharaoh also goes in the water.
Okay.
Pharaoh goes and his army goes and everyone and no one is leaves. And that proves that God said, yes, you see, now you will never see the face of the Moses again.
Okay. Nice. But what lures him in? I agree with your understanding. So Pharaoh is also killed. Like not everybody accepts that. I mean, in the movies you will see that the Pharaoh after the whole thing is still around. So I agree with your interpretation. It was Pharaoh and his army that went into the waters. And you are right. Whatever Pharaoh said to Moshe, and Moshe replied, okay, fine, you don't want to see my face, you will never see my face. And the way he does never see Moshe's face is because he passes on. He dies in this whole episode. But what drives him out from his throne to get him killed? That is my question. How is it that Hashem plays this on him? What is it that brings him out? To bring the philo. There is something that Moshe does that brings him out, and that is my question. So I agree with you, but it is still not answered our question. What is it that plays on Pharaoh's ego that brings him out? The one thing is that they are sitting ducks. They are all surrounded by water. So Pharaoh knows, now if I go out, for sure I will be able to bring them back into Egypt. They will not be able to escape. What is the other thing that brings him out? Think about it. What was something that we have questioned that question earlier, but we didn't have an answer earlier? The answer is here. This is why. Okay, 30 seconds up. The answer is Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, we are going to this mountain to worship for 3 days. Right? They never asked permission to leave Egypt, although this never comes out. Let my people go is what the movies talk about. But Moshe Rabbeinu didn't say, let my people go. Let my people go to this mountain, Mount Horeb, and worship God and come back. That is what he tells Pharaoh. But once they leave, Pharaoh says, oh, you cheated me. You said that 3 days further you all will go down and you are planning to escape. I didn't have any such plans that you all will escape. Although he knows earlier, what is it that he is stopping? Every time he's arguing with Moshe, no, you only take the cattle, you only take the males, you cannot take the children. What is he arguing about? No, I don't trust you, right? So he knows that they are going to go. But still, now when finally they escape, that hurts Pharaoh's ego highest, because this is somebody who has cheated him now. It is not only that Pharaoh has allowed them, but Pharaoh was able to save his face. Okay, I allowed them after even my firstborn is dead. I allowed them just to go for 3 days. Fine, we gave them money and we gave them cattle and we gave them, but it was only so that they will come back. Now Pharaoh that's it. Pharaoh's ego will bring him out now. That is how Hashem hardens Pharaoh's heart. Hashem does not interfere with his thinking, but Hashem knows that his thinking is construed through his ego, and his ego will react in a certain way. And that is what Moshe Rabbeinu plays with. From the first time that they meet Pharaoh, that is a ploy that Moshe has used, because finally he wants Pharaoh to be out here to be destroyed with his army. Because that is, when is the country destroyed? Country is not destroyed because of some hail that falls on their crop. They will have a crop next year. When it will be completely eliminated is when their military strength is gone. And that is why Moshe uses that ploy of a 3-day. So you can see that Moshe does lie to Pharaoh, and the lying over there is justified, because Moshe wants and Hakadosh Baruch Hu wants for Egyptians, right? So whatever they did for the 210 years, let's give them benefit of doubt, smaller figure, the 210 years, right? What they had done against Egypt, against Bnei Israel, they had to be justice. They had to come to terms. We said that the firstborn died because they killed the firstborn, but there were other things that they did. They harmed the Egyptians. Finally, also we know that when Moshe went to Pharaoh, Pharaoh says, we won't give you straw. You have to do the work yourself. You have to, right? So they were very stiff and very, you can just imagine. What was today it is not as bad, but in India, what was the untouchables like? They used to clean everybody's potty. They used to do all the labor jobs, all the menial labor jobs, right? That is exactly what Am Israel was doing in Egypt. So for everything, there had to be justice, and they had to be taken down. And only then HaKadosh Baruch Hu can bring it to the understanding of the world that he doesn't like man being abused by other men. Okay, so that was the ploy. And coming back to our question now, over here, the next question is, and they had faith in God and his servant Moshe. So over here, the Torah shares with us a piece of information after this miraculous happening. They have faith in God. Am Israel now know that not only in Egypt, but over here, Hashem has interfered and Hashem has wrought justice for them. Not only that they have been removed from Egypt, but even Egypt has been justly dealt with. Okay. Now, their relationship with God, as we spoke last time, is Hashem is their God, like Elohe Bene Elohe Ivrim, Elohe Bene Israel. Okay. That was Hashem's move on one side to bring justice to Egypt, on the other side, so that Israel will recognize him as a God involved, not only a God who is a creator, God involved with them and bringing justice for them, and not only them, but his creation, with his creation. Okay, so now they have faith in God. And may I ask you a question? What is faith? Let us ask this question. What is faith? How do we define faith? So when we say they had faith in God, what kind of faith we are talking about here?
It means you have, means the person when he is saying something, you say that yes, whatever he is saying is right. That is means yes, you say that he is, whatever he is saying is right. Completely means no doubt.
So faith, auntie, according to Sharona auntie, is trust.
Ha.
Yes, I believe that he is right. I trust that he is right. So faith is trust.
Faith, ब्लाइंड फेथ म्हणजे काय, त्यांनी काय बी खराब बी केला तरी त्याचा विश्वास, त्याच्यावरती कोण बोलत आला तरी त्याच्यावरती विश्वास ठेवणार नाही. फेथ इज सीज दस, ज्यांनी यू मस्ट हॅव ब्लाइंड फेथ, गॉड वरती ब्लाइंड फेथ. त्याला कोण जर एक स्टोरी जी आहे तसा असायला पाहिजे की ज्यांनी तो खोटा बी बोला तरी त्याच्यावरती विश्वास ठेवायचा नाही. ही फेथ आहे.
खोटा बोलला तर विश्वास ठेवायचा नाही कसं काय, मला नाही समजलं.
म्हणजे काय, माझ्या कोणत्यावरती विश्वास ठेवायचा असं तर ब्लाइंड विश्वास ठेवायला पाहिजे. फेथ इज अ विश्वास, फेथ इज ब्लाइंड विश्वास पाहिजे. असं नाही
विश्वास
पाहिजे.
म्हणजे ट्रस्ट.
हा,
विश्वास म्हणजे ट्रस्ट. ओके. And you are saying it should be blind. There should not
Exactly.
be any rational behind it. The fact that faith is working means that there is no rational behind it. It doesn't. You don't depend it on any proof.
Exactly.
Okay. Any else? Anybody else?
When you can't really test a topic, a fact or a fiction, when you can't test it, then comes the aspect of faith that you may or may not believe it.
So when there is an aspect that you can't test a certain reality and you need to,
can't prove it, you can't do something like, or use any of your senses to come to a conclusion, you are, that's how I would define faith.
nice. So in a regular situation, when I can use my senses to trust something, I can use my senses to understand something, I can use my senses to analyze something, then I don't need to use faith. I analyze it according to my situation. I have a friend, for the first 4 or 5 times I interact with him, I see that he is honest, then I know that he is honest. On the basis of my interactions, I can trust that he is honest for the next times. That for the first few times I have trust. But there are times when I cannot have a way of testing something. And Jeremiah is saying that in those times when I cannot test something and I have to then trust that particular aspect, then I have to use faith. That faith, which is not very different from what auntie or what uncle is saying, is something which has no proof needed and which has trust involved in it. Very nice. So now my question is over here. These guys, Am Israel, do they really have faith? Because till a year ago, they have these year or whatever time it took for the 10 plagues to happen. So they have first-hand proof of God fighting for them or trying to compete with Pharaoh to get them out. 10 minutes ago, now, they just saw for the whole night a miracle that goes beyond any miracle that ever has happened in the face of this planet, in the history of this planet, that water stood on their side and they walked through the water on dry ground, right? And based on that deliverance, based on that uh, experiences, now they have faith. So what kind of a faith is that? Is that really faith? That faith is dependent on these factors which have proven themselves. So Jeremiah is saying that there is only when faith works when you don't have any way to prove yourself. I trust God completely now. Why? Because God just proved it to me. So what kind of faith is that? Isn't that a problem? Uncle said no proof needed, but just now I have 11 proofs, 10 plagues and 11 at the parting of the sea. I have 11 proofs, and based on that 11 proofs, now I am saying, oh, I have complete faith in God. What nonsense! You don't have any faith. You are based on your experiences. You are saying now you have faith. What kind of faith? That is a very weak faith. Wouldn't you say that? How can you have faith after the event? If they did not cry before the event, and if they would have said, oh, we don't care, we are sure that Pharaoh is not going to touch the hair on my scalp. The Pharaoh is not be able to do anything bad to us. We have complete faith. That is called faith, no? So what kind of faith is this after the event? Problem, no?
In,
You don't think
in
so?
this case, it is more like knowing rather than the faith, the word we use in our regular day-to-day style.
So, la'amin, the Hebrew word is la'amin. Vayaminu ba'adonai Moshe abdo. La'amin b'Hashem. What does it mean, la'amin b'Hashem? Right? What is the day-to-day thing? La'amin b'Hashem for you and me is a very different ball game than la'amin b'Hashem for these people. Because these people are proxy, they are privy to something which is only heard of in stories for us, right? And that is something that we need to understand. How or what is this faith that the Torah is talking about? How do we understand this faith that these people grew out to be, right? They didn't have any faith over there. They were greatly frightened. Was it for the want of graves? They are cribbing to Moshe Rabbeinu. They are questioning him. What faith? They didn't have any faith 2 minutes before the event. Moshe is saying, have no fear. Hashem is going to bring you out of this situation. And Hashem brings them out of the situation. And then the Torah says that they have faith. Okay. What happens after that? We have the famous Shirat Hayam, which I am not going to focus on just now. Let's see what happens then. Then Moses caused Israel to set out from the Sea of Reeds. They went on into the wilderness of Shur. They traveled 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Now they walked into, after they crossed the Sea of Reeds, 3 days they are traveling, no water. They came to Marah, but they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. That is why it was named Marah. And the people grumbled against Moshe, saying, what shall we drink? Now, you see what is happening? So he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There he made for them a fixed rule, and there he put them to test. Okay. What happened over here? 3 days. Just 3 days ago, they saw the biggest miracle a human being can ever see on this planet. 3 days and they don't have water to drink. Yeah. And suddenly, what do you have? They are again questioning Moshe, like they were questioning before the parting of the sea. They cried out to him. They were grumbling against him. So Moshe Rabbeinu cries out to Hashem. Hashem says, "Oh, no problem. Just this piece of wood, just take it, put it into the water, and the water will become okay." Now, how much water are we talking about? It's not like, you have to have 1 can of water. 2 million people are going to drink from this water. 3 million we calculated. Right? 3 million people. So this means that that piece of wood, however log, let's talk about that piece of wood is a log of wood, right? What changed that it become miraculous? It is not the chemistry of the wood that could change the chemistry of the water, whatever it was. Because the water is under the soil, under the ground, it is coming out. As it comes out, something was maybe changing its nature, whatever it may be. But that log of wood did the trick, and then you have a spring of water which is continuously coming out, which is going to feed 2 million people, and it is still going to continue coming out, and it becomes good. What happens over there? Then he made for them a fixed rule. So Moshe Rabbeinu, Sam lo chok. That is what it says in Hebrew. Chok is a law, rule. He made a rule. You should act in a certain way. Act in a certain way. Do something XYZ. According to tradition, they were taught about kashrut over here. They were taught about Shabbat over here. Some basic principles to get them ready for Ma'amad Har Sinai. That is the traditional understanding. But Sam lo chok u mishpat. So there is a rule and mishpat and law, rule and law. Ve sham nisahu. What does that mean? Nisahu. And he put them to test. What kind of a test is this? Let us see. He said, if you will heed the Lord your God diligently, doing what is upright in his sight, giving ear to his commandments, and keeping all his laws, then I will not bring upon you any of the diseases that I brought upon the Egyptians, for I am Lord. I, the Lord, am your healer. They came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palms, and they encamped beside the water. So now, at Marah, there is something enigmatic. Something happens where you don't know what exactly is the situation, but some rules were given, some laws were given. Hashem tested them. Okay. I mean, I assume that it was not like a exam. Okay, give me what you will do in this situation. What will you do in that situation? It's not kind of test. Tested them in what way? We need to figure out. But he is telling them, if you will listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, heed him diligently, doing what is upright in his sight, giving ear to his commandments, and keeping all his laws, then I will not bring upon you any of the diseases that I brought upon the Egyptians. Okay. Now, this word, Nisau, I will show you that this is like the banner of this whole portion. The word Nisau over here, which I missed, in fact, but we will go down and we will see what happens. So the next they move out. Now there is enough water. They don't have any problem. But now if they have water, what does it say? Sorry, 70 palm trees and 12 springs of water. Setting out from Elim, the whole community came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai on the 15th day of the second month after their departure. Now they move out. In the wilderness, the whole community grumbled against Moshe and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt when we sat by the flesh pots, when we ate of our fill of bread. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to starve this whole congregation to death. So now they want to eat meat and they want to eat bread. Whatever they were carrying with them. They were carrying some kind of food stuff. Obviously, they know that they have to reach Israel. So in this period, everything has got exhausted, right? Now they are asking for bread and meat. They don't want to destroy their cattle. That is their economy, right? So they don't want to eat that. But they don't have food. And the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread for you from the sky, and the people shall go out and gather each day that day's portion, that I may thus test them. You see the word test in red.
Yes, Rabbi.
Anasehu hayelech v'torati imlo. So again, you see that God is going to test them to see whether they will follow my instructions or not. So in Marah, we saw that God gave them chokum mishpat, law and order to test them. Again, here he is going to give them bread to test them. What kind of a test is bread? And you give them bread, they will eat. What is their kosher about the bread? But no. But on the sixth day, when they apportion what they have bought in, it shall prove to be double the amount they gathered each day. Well, on sixth day, I'm going to give them double. So Moses and Aaron said to the Israelites, by evening you shall know it was the Lord who brought you out from the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall behold the presence of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against the Lord. So they were not, they were saying to Moshe Rabbeinu that God has, but it is to the God. According to Moshe, you are grumbling against the Hashem. How is it saying? Boker, sorry, תלונותיכם על אדוני ואנחנו מה? כי תלינו עלינו. For you are, who are we that you should grumble against us? Really, you are not grumbling against us, you are grumbling against Moshe. Since it is the Lord, Moshe continued, who will give you flesh to eat in the evening and bread in the morning to the full, because the Lord has heard the grumblings you utter against him. What is our part? Your grumbling is not against us, but against the Lord. So Moshe is explaining to them, see, you come to me and you're saying, why did you bring me? When you say, why did you bring me? It is really not you. You are talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because I am just an instrument in his hand. He is the one who brought me out, asked me to bring you out. So you are grumbling against him. So tomorrow you will see. Hashem, then Moses says to Aaron, say to the Lord, whole Israelite community, advance towards the Lord, for he has heard your grumblings. And as Aaron spoke to the whole Israelite community, they turned towards the wilderness, and there in a cloud appeared the presence of the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moshe, I have heard the grumblings of the Israelites. Speak to them and say, by evening you shall eat flesh, and in the morning you shall eat your fill of bread, and you shall know that I am the Lord, the Lord am your God. Over here, what is Hashem saying? The fact that you will eat miraculously, I will prove that I am the Lord. But he has already proven. Every time he has to give a new proof that I am the Lord. I am the Lord. What is happening over here? In the evening, quail appeared and covered the camp. In the morning, there was a fall of dew. So now in the evening, they had meat, and in the morning, there was a fall of dew, which was man. When the fall of dew lifted there, over the surface of the wilderness, there lay a fine flaky substance, as fine as frost on the ground. When the Israelites saw it, they said to one another, what is it? The Hebrew for this, manhu. And from that, for they did not know what it is. And Moshe said to them, this is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Gather as much of it as each of you requires to eat. An omer to a person for as many of you as there are. Each of you shall fetch for those in his tent. The Israelites did so, some gathering much, some little. But when they measured it, by the Omer. He who had gathered much did not have much, had no excess, and he who had gathered little had no deficiency. They had gathered as much as they needed to eat. Now you see the fun over here. God asked them, I mean, there is instructions that which goes with this, right? Because God is going to test them because of what he is going to do. That's what we read earlier, right? He is going to test them. What is the test? I am going to send you bread. You have to take one omer, not more, not little. Whatever you need, you have to take. What happened to the person who took more? It was a omer. What happened to the person who had collected less? It became more. So what is the point in making that? I mean, by the miracle itself, the fact that man was miraculous, it was not only miraculous that it fell and it was bread to eat from the sky, it was miraculous to the fact that it obeyed Hakadosh Baruch Hu's rules. Hakadosh Baruch Hu didn't want men to take more, so it obeyed, that it didn't go more than a omer for somebody who wanted more, and whoever took less, it became more. So the man was following the rules, but these people were not, and by default they were obviously not able to not follow Hakadosh Baruch Hu. The man used to take care that this is how it would work. So it is a little weird, no? And Moses said to them, let no one leave any of it until the morning. But they paid no attention. People are not listening to Moshe. Some of them left of it until the morning. But what happened? Infested with maggots. They didn't get more. They automatically, it became bad. So they gathered in every morning, each as much as he needed to eat, for when the sun grew hot, it would melt. On the sixth day, they gathered double the amount of food. Now, every evening it goes bad. So over here, it is again miraculous that for Shabbat, whatever was collected for Shabbat did not go bad. And when all the chieftains of the community came to Moshe, he told Moses, he said to them, this is what. So that day, there was double the portion lying out. So he said, what is this? Today we found double. So he said, yes, today you have to collect double. He said to them, this is what the Lord meant. Tomorrow is a day of rest, a holy Shabbat for the Lord. Bake. This is what the Lord meant. On the basis of this, they say that Choku Mishpat, over there, Hashem had explained about this. Or when God is going to test you, this is the test. Tomorrow is a day of rest, a holy Shabbat of the Lord. Bake what you would bake, and boil what you would boil, and all this is put aside to be kept until morning. So they put it aside until morning, as Moshe had ordered, and it did not turn foul, and there was no maggots in it. Then Moshe said, eat it today, for today is the Shabbat of the Lord, and you will find it today on the plain. You will not find it today on the plain. So the next day also, nothing happened to it. That was the challenge they had. Sixth day, you shall gather it. On the seventh day, the Shabbat, there will be none. Yet some of the people went out on the Shabbat to gather, but they found nothing. So there is no way that they can, there is a prohibition, but there is no way that they can go against it. There is no man only. So what is the point of this whole thing? And the Lord said to Moses, how long will your men refuse to obey my commandments and my teachings? So these are the commandments and my teachings. These are simple things. Don't take more. Don't take less. They won't listen. Don't take double for Shabbat. They did that. Don't go out to collect on Shabbat, but they did go out. So they are not listening, but there is no way that the man itself is observing Shabbat and observing the mitzvot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has asked these guys to. So it is a little, the only proof is the fact that these people were not listening. Even by not listening, they are not able to really, what is the word, go beyond the mitzvah. They ate man for 40 years. So it is already over here that the Torah reveals that 40 years they are eating this. From the wilderness of Sin, the whole Israelite community continued by stages as the Lord would command. They encamped at Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Now, there was no water again. The first time it was bitter, but this time there is no water. The people quarreled with Moshe, give us water to drink. They said, and Moshe replied to them, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you try the Lord? Again, the word nisayon, nasun, tenasun es Hashem. Why do you try the Lord? When you are arguing with Moshe, there is no water, big deal. So why are you trying the Lord? I mean, there is no water, Moshe. What are you talking about? I have my whole family over here. We are 2 million people, no water. No. Why are you trying? What is Moshe trying to tell them? Why are you trying? Why do you try the Lord? But the people thirsted for water, and the people grumbled against Moshe and said, why did you bring us up from Egypt to kill us and our children and livestock with thirst? Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, what shall I do with the people? Before long they will be stoning me. So they are not listening. So Hashem tells him, then the Lord said to Moshe, pass before the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel. So do it in front of them, and take along the rod with which you struck the Nile, and set out. And I will be standing there before you on the rock at Horeb, which means the pillar of cloud or whatever is there, will be standing there at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will issue from it, and the people will drink. And Moshe did so in the sight of the elders. So again, what is the word next here? Vaikra Shem Hamakom, and the place was called Masa Meribah. Masa and Meribah. Why is it called Masa? Al Riv. From the word Riv, you have Meribah, right? Bnei Israel ve al Nasotam. Masa is from the word Nasotam. Nasotam is because they tested the Lord. Lenasot, from the word test. Again, because the Israelites quarreled and because they tried the Lord, saying, is the Lord present among us? Amalek came fought with Israel at Rephidim. Then you have Amalek. In the story of Amalek, pick some men for us and go out to do battle with Amalek. Tomorrow I will station myself on top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up on the top of the hill. Why? Then whenever Moshe held up his hand, Israel prevailed, but whenever he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moshe's hand grew heavy. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. While Aaron and Hur, one on each side, supported his hands. Thus his hands remained steady until the sun set. And Joshua overwhelmed the people of Amalek with the sword. And Joshua made a good show. Then the Lord said to Moses, inscribe this in the document as a reminder and read it out aloud to Joshua. I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek under the heaven. And Moses built an altar and named it Adonai Nissi. What is Nissi? From the word Nisayon. Again, God tests. That is what it means. Adonai Nissi is God is my test, or something like that. He made an altar saying thank you, but it's saying thank you. Adonai Nissi. What is the connection? Adonai Nissi. And then finally he said it means hand upon the throne of the Lord. The Lord will be at war with Amalek throughout the ages. Hand upon the throne. What throne of the Lord? What is it talking about? So Adonai Nissi is somehow also connected to throne of the Lord. Yomer ki yad al kesia, on God's throne. Milchama la Adonai Amalek midor dor. So it should be Adonai Kisi maybe. Why is that the Adonai Nissi if it is kesia, right? So that kes becomes a nes, and Adonai Nissi. That there is a pun over there. There is some kind of a play over here between the Nisyonot, the nes, the testing that is happening. The people are testing God, God is testing the people, and over here finally Amalek has tested them, and they make an altar called Hashem Nissi. Figure it out. Tell me what is happening, guys. What is the Torah? Under the Torah's basic stories, what is happening? What is happening? What are these ideas here that Torah wants to teach us? It has to do with the test, right? That Hashem set out, gave commandments, and he is saying that I am going to test you. And then the commandments are not being followed. But the commandments are such that they cannot be not followed. You cannot उल्लंघन करणं म्हणजे काय म्हणायचं इंग्लिश मध्ये यू कॅनॉट
Dishonor.
dishonor them.
Honor.
You cannot.
Yes.
You have by themselves they are built in that you have to honor them. There is no food on Shabbat to collect, so you go out. By just going out, you basically dishonored it. But really you cannot, because there is no food, there is no manna over there. What is happening then? And again, the most interesting story, which I'll point out to you. They cried to Hakadosh Baruch Hu just before the Pharaoh's army. They saw the Pharaoh's army just before entering the parting of the sea. Right? Before the miracle, they were crying out. Moshe said, why are you crying out? See what Hashem will do. Then there was waters of Marah, and they cried out. And Hashem did not punish them or anything. He gave them a piece of wood, cleared it. Then they again, 3 days, they walk into a place where there isn't any food. Okay, you want meat? I'll send you meat. You want bread? I'll send you bread. But these are the rules that you need to follow. So they cry out and they get what they want. Then again, there is a place where there is no water. So Moshe is asked to strike the rock in front of Hashem and in front of the people. He strikes the rock and there is water for 2 million people plus. Right? From a rock, 2 million. There is just like a stream that flows out of that rock. Right? They are crying because they are not having Emunah. They don't have faith. So what it says, Vayaminu ba'adonai uva Moshe avdo, there it says that they have faith, but these guys don't have faith. The Torah is saying they don't have faith, they don't have faith, they don't have faith, they don't have faith. The one time they should not have had faith, because that is what the Torah started with. What does it start with? It says like this. This portion starts with, now when Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although it was nearer. For God said, the people may have a change of heart when they see war and return to Egypt. So when they see war, God is saying they may have a change of heart and they will return to Egypt. And they did see war. Amalek came and attacked them. So now they should start creeping to Moshe Rabbeinu, shouldn't they? If they see war. But no. What happens over there? They go out. Moshe Rabbeinu goes and sits on a mountaintop with Hur and Aaron. And they go and make war with Joshua as the captain. And Joshua did overwhelm the people of Amalek with the sword. They didn't have any problem. Not a single person died. They did not creep. They did not complain. They had complete faith. One place where Hashem says they won't have faith, they will run away. They have complete faith. You go and figure now how does this work? Why should they not have creeped over here? What Amalek is killing us and now you brought us over here? Why? They didn't do that. They went and made war with Amalek and destroyed him. Why? How? What? When they didn't have food, they were crying. Where they were seeing sword and people, Amalek came and attacked them. They were seeing death directly. If you don't have food for 7 days, you will still live. But directly, if there is attack there and there, you will die. But there they did not have any problems. They made war without any complaint. How does that work? These people have faith or don't have faith? What is the mystery of this parasha? Any answers?
They have wavery mind, because they knew God will help them. Anyhow, whatever they do, right or wrong, God is always behind them. And that was a every mind, like, yes, whatever we do, God is there to help us.
Okay.
They don't have the faith. That is why God said, I will destroy them and I will make your generation.
They don't have faith.
They don't have faith. Because that is what the God said to Moses, I will make your generation that will have the faith on me.
Yeah. So what is this point that we are not understanding over here? Because the Torah says, "Vayaminu ba Adonai uva Moshe abdo." They had faith. Why does the Torah give them the credit if they didn't have faith? Torah should not have written that line.
Here
In
the
fact,
petition,
if
here
the
the petition of
prophets,
Moses. Here the petition of Moses is there. He says, no, 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 don't do that. What the people will say. If you destroy them here, then the people will say, see, they are taken out from the Egypt and destroy them in the wilderness. That is the faith of Moses.
so we need to really understand when Torah says faith, what is faith? What is it that the Torah is really wanting to understand by faith? Right? What is the Torah wanting to teach these people when Hashem is setting out rules for them to follow and they need to follow it, right? What is it that the Torah wants them to imbibe? What is it that the Torah is saying when they don't have faith, as compared to what is this? The narrator, the Torah is talking when they had faith in Moshe and God just after the. So we need to sort of sharpen our ideas, because our ideas of faith are not very clear. In Egypt, yeah, we spoke about the idea that Israel, because they were slaves, they were in a special situation where they were able to experience that pain and that uh, abuse, to make a foundation for their own society, for their own nation, right? Now, I am going to take this one step further. One of the reasons why slavery was necessary is because, as a slave, and I mentioned over here, you just think about the untouchables of India. You have no rights. You cannot study religion. What you have to do is clean the potty of others. What you have to do is, tie the shoes or whatever were the low caste trades. Only that. You cannot really uh, do anything that you can break away from this. You cannot make money. You cannot do anything which will bring you power. So you cannot have knowledge. You cannot learn scriptures. I'm talking about the Indians, right? That is a situation that slaves are in a worse scenario. The slave has really lost any and every bit of his ego, because there is no rights. You don't have any rights. You cannot have any hope, right? The positive side of an ego is that you stand for yourself. You have self-respect. Positive side of an ego is that you know that you can hope. A positive side of an ego is that you know that you have the ability to do things, that you have the capacities to do things. You tell yourself that I can, and you do, right? So the negative side of slavery was that you didn't have all these. So you are a vacuum. In terms of the ego, in terms of your mind, you had a no mind. Because you have a no mind, because you have a situation where you cannot have anything called the ego, or you cannot fester it, you have no way of building it, because all the time your situation, your reality, your children are being thrown, you don't have any hope. They are probably I mean, they are talking that they had food or whatever, but they didn't have your basic amenities. They didn't have that. That is why they were slaves. And you cannot go to Pharaoh against him. You cannot speak to Pharaoh, because he is the one who is initiating the whole thing. You don't have anyone to share this with. What happens in this very, very bleak situation? You don't have anything. In this bleak situation, there is one capacity, and that capacity is that you are able to imbibe, because it is as if you get into socially and psychologically, you go into a state of before eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge, because now you don't have an ego, right? There it was important, because now the spiritual aspect of what Hakadosh Baruch Hu, they were all very, very passive to this whole happening of the 10 plagues. The whole idea of the 10 plagues is that they were in a state of passivity, that divinity was able to work on them and change them to such an extent that their genetic makeup was changed. They became Am Israel, that they became the Kohanim for the whole world. They became the representatives of Hakadosh Baruch Hu on this planet. That is how it changed. But there is a different side. Once you become free, they walked out now. Then all what is the ego is now growing on them. So this is the situation where Hakadosh Baruch Hu is teaching them how to rein in their ego, because security, my family, food, these are things that they have to cope up with now, right? So the first thing is security. Once they come in terms of security about Pharaoh, finish. They don't know now, they are not warriors, but they see firsthand that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is fighting for them. On that, now that they had this vacuum, and they had already sucked in all the aspects of what Hakadosh Baruch Hu is, understood Hakadosh Baruch Hu from a very, very close encounter, because they were, even the Egyptians didn't have that, because they had the ego, which was a veil in front of them, but for the Jews, that was not the case. For the Bnei Israel, they were able to imbibe it to the very core of their being. Now they come out, and they still are in a flux. They still have that same slave mentality, but on the other hand, they are dependent. They don't have any. See, when will I feel that I can do something? When I don't have a slave mentality also. Although that was working in their favor then, now it is not, because now they get a open rein to things. Suddenly you can decide, they can decide. They didn't have that option. Suddenly they have that decision making power, but now they see that they are powerless against Pharaoh, so they go and cry. They cry. Moshe says, don't cry, this is not the response is needed. Hashem is going to show you what he wants to do. Over there, they see Hakadosh Baruch Hu interfering with and doing what it needs to be to have a just judgment on Egypt, because they know it from close counters what for next 2000 past 2010 years that they have gone through. Next step, again they are open to this challenge. No food, no water, what to do? Only, I mean, we won't be going into, but the or maybe we can. See, what brings the miracles, what makes the miracles happen is their faith. And Israel never were able to come to that faith. But there were individuals among them who were able to come to that faith. That's why Miriam, they say that because of the zechut of Miriam, there was always water. So when they were at Mara, where there was water, they put uh, the wood in it. Then after 3 days, they didn't have water. But Moshe hit the rock and there was water. Then for 40 years, they are in the desert, but we don't hear anything about water till that last time when Moshe is supposed to speak to the rock, but he hits it. When does that happen? That happens only after the passing of Moshe's sister Miriam. So we are given hints as to why was there that they had this miracle of water in a desert. It is because of some individuals like this who knew what it is to have faith. Miriam had faith. Miriam is that woman who, when Moshe was, think about it. Moshe, 3 months they saved the child, they put him on the river, right? And she is looking, right? What does that mean that she is looking? She has faith that he will live, right? The minute that she sees, and we don't know the future, what if we don't know, we have not read the story. Think about it. She sees the Pharaoh's daughter approaching him, right? What would be going through her head? Wow, that is the worst scenario. Pharaoh, the person who has decided to kill all the children, his own daughter is now going to see Moshe in that basket. What will it lead to? But she has faith. She goes to her worst enemy and says, "You want somebody to look after the child?" Because she has faith that this woman won't kill him. From where does she get that faith? Right? That is what is needed, and that is what Israel is being taught over here. They get the faith. Oh, with wars it is okay. We will win the war. With Amalek they don't have any problem because they see that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is interacting with Mitzrayim. Politically, brought it down. Politically, Hakadosh Baruch Hu has shown us and proven to us that he is going to save us. But what about our bread and butter? What about food? What about water? Has he proven to us? So like Jeremiah is saying, they didn't have a faith based on when you have not proven yourself, then I cannot trust you. So that kind of faith won't work because that is exactly from there you had to learn to this. The Hakadosh Baruch Hu is omnipotent. If he can give you and save you in Egypt, he can save you at the sea, and he can even save you when you need water, and he can save you when you need bread and meat or whatever. So Moshe Rabbeinu is saying that what we are wanting you to understand are two things. One is there is a state where you don't have any ego. When you were not having hope. But now we want you to take that same aspect to a level where you have complete hope like Miriam. She hoped that this lady who is the worst enemy that could pick up Moshe Rabbeinu will want him to live. And maybe not, but I will have the hope that Hashem is with me. Even when I don't have water, 3 days, I don't start complaining. I will have hope that it will come through. They have it when Amalek attacks them, right? And that's why that word Hashem Nissi is important. We have already, how are we doing on time, Nissim?
Yes, I was just going to tell you, we should try and conclude about 5 minutes or so.
So there are two things because of the loss of ego, there is an aspect, is a positive aspect, that they were able to imbibe spirituality. But to live that spirituality, once you have imbibed it, it is a total different ball game. That once you have imbibed that spirituality, in fact, then your ego is what is going to get fanned by it. Now you know you are a free person. Once you have that aspect now of recognizing that you are a free person, recognizing that we are a nation, recognizing that we are heading for a goal, right? Then how do you use that spirituality? So then you have to use that spirituality in a way that you have complete hope. You have to not only have complete hope, but you have to act in a way that shows that hope. So you don't know if tomorrow you will have bread or no, but I will collect it tomorrow. I will collect double portion today. Why? Because I have complete hope that whatever was the instructions given to me are going to be true, right? I don't need to go and check the next day. I know that I am forbidden to take more than what is needed, and tomorrow I don't know where my bread is going to come from. So I have complete trust that it will fall tomorrow, and I am just going to collect for today. That is how you balance and it is for us how we balance our egos. Because to have an ego is important, to have a self-confidence is important, to have self-respect is important, to have hope is important, but also to have that ability of a let go is as important. To have the ability of being a little, what is the word? So what is the word for that?
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable,
Yeah. So that is
submissive.
what.
Acha.
Yeah. So you have to have that capacity to be vulnerable to reality, because reality is also Hakadosh Baruch Hu's will. So if he wants you to not have water for 3 days, then it is his will, and you have to be vulnerable. You have to allow yourself to be open to that reality. That is faith. And Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to teach them through these whole things. It is not that they didn't have faith at all. Their faith was based on the tests and their experiences, and which is right. That is how we build ourselves, especially in their situation when they got their freedom now. They have to build this faith on the basis of how Hakadosh Baruch Hu has redeemed them, how they have been delivered, and what He is doing for them day to day. At the same time, their experience of reality has been very harsh. So to become vulnerable in a situation like this is very difficult for them. Somebody who has never gone hungry can in fact allow himself to be vulnerable, but who has had the pain of hunger will never be able to give yourself that opportunity to, oh, I'll check it out tomorrow, whatever happens. I cannot trust, because my reality is rooted in a different experience. So it is a very huge challenge for Moshe to bring them out of what we call the slave mentality, to have complete trust. Now they need to hope. What did we talk about Miriam? That she has that hope. She has that idea that no, this will happen. My brother will be saved. That hope is what allowed her to merit the water, because she had complete faith. Okay, we will have water. Even in a desert, no problem, we will have water. And that is what Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching these people, that you have the spiritual capacity. Spiritual capacity has been imbibed with the experiences in Egypt. You and Hakadosh Baruch Hu have a relationship. So the relationship will work only when you have faith that and allow it to make it work. So with Amalek, they had the faith, and that's why Rabbeinu goes up and sits with his hands up, because he wants to initiate and inspire that faith in them that, see, listen, this war is not yours. This war is only, you have to swing your sword, but Hashem is making you win. You have proof from earlier. when Hashem totally made the war on the Egyptians. So you don't have to worry about your lives. Just looking at the hands, they knew the relationship of Hashem is what they call the man of war. Hashem is the God of hosts. Hashem is the king who has his hosts, his army fighting for us, right? So that concept they have been able to grasp. But this concept of bread and butter, their everyday struggles, that is a little difficult for them because their lives are on the line, their families are on the line. And 3 days without water is not a small thing. And that's why we see throughout, HaKadosh Baruch Hu never gets angry. Moshe gets angry with them and they're saying, this is what your test is. This is what the plan is. Hashem is testing you to bring you to a level of Emunah, which will allow you to use your relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That you have, God is your God. What does it mean? It means that you have a certain relationship, we will even use the word power, but it has a button over there and that's called Emunah, to use it. You can sit down like Miriam and imagine that there will be water, and only because of that imagination, that hope, you will be able to bring water out of the rock. But not me. I won't be able to bring out. That's why before bringing out what will I bring water out from you? That's the second time Moshe Rabbeinu tells them. Because he's saying after 40 years you have not got the point. Emunah doesn't work like that. However, power Hashem has instilled in you, it has to work through you. You make your reality happen. And that is Emunah. Your Emunah is in your hands. You have to believe, complete trust that this will happen. I will be able to get out of my situation. I will be able to change the reality. And then that relationship will make wonders for us. That is what is Parashat Beshalach. Any questions?
Very nice, Rabbi. Friends, please unmute yourself, and if you have any questions or remarks, please go ahead. Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome.